Oh,
Oh, okay.
Could you hear that?
Oh, fancy.
that's our virtual assistant.
Yeah.
We're paying her nothing, not anything.
Okay, let's do it.
Am I
That's you,
starting?
Camille.
All
Yeah.
right. All righty. Here we go. Hey, Mom Squad. We are so happy to be here with you at 6 a.m. This is a rare privilege for you. I hope you understand that we look horrible. And so congratulations on seeing that.
I think we look our very best at 6 a.m. We really peak at 6 a.m. and then it just goes down.
And then it just,
the rest of the day.
well, we probably all met our husbands at 4 a.m. then, right? Well, today we're going to be talking about service. We're going to be talking about how to make time for service, kind of our thoughts and ideas on what's worked for us in the past, and maybe what we could try in the future because life is busy.
Yeah. And maybe we need to explain why we're recording at 6 a.m. We
No.
recorded this together and then we lost the audio. Everything went wrong. And so we needed it to release this week. And so we're doing a remote recording. Beth's still in Colorado. We're in Utah. Camilla and I are in my daughter's bedroom. And yeah, the only time that worked was if we got together at 6 a.m.
Yeah, because we're busy.
Yes.
Exactly.
Listen, and the added element is that Thanksgiving is next week. And so it's like a normal Thursday. It's like, okay, we can find some time. The Thursday before Thanksgiving, no time.
No.
Yeah.
Like every kid has like some pilgrim parade going on. We have so many closets to clean out. The beds are being scrubbed here. I didn't even know you could scrub a bed. Is coming. So we have no time. So 6 a.m. was the only option, which, this is my prime running time. So really, this is a service to all to give up this pitch black 20-degree run that I would normally be on right now.
It sounds amazing, but we all appreciate the fact that you're here. Andrea has been sending out little cleaning ideas that we can do. On my birthday, I was supposed to clean my cupboards, but instead I had a sick kid and took her to the doctor.
Oh,
so
fun.
that was good times.
Tell us about your birthday. What'd you do? Did you anything?
Literally? Yeah. I woke up to my sick daughter. And
what kind of sick we talking?
Okay, so she had this horrible cold plus a cough, which is normal, right? It's November. Everybody has the horrible cold plus a cough. But she had this added element of really red eyes. So like
vampire sickness.
Exactly. Like you think conjunctivitis, pink eye, right? Except it wasn't. Pink eye is like, you're fine. You go to sleep. You have to cut yourself out of a pillow in the morning and you're blind. You can't open your eyes.
Pink eye is, I've always thought, is the best illness to have. My kids always are like, please let me have pink eye because you feel great, but you're not allowed to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, great. I have to stay home.
Yeah, exactly. So, So
blindness.
Yeah, no big deal.
That's what it is. So you'd think that, except it wasn't. It was just really swollen and red eyes. So I was going to take her to the doctor and I thought, the problem is every time I've taken she's my 7-year-old. I swear she's had 5 COVID tests where they stick the swab up to your eyeball. And every time she screams. So now she's got a little bit of PTSD about going to the doctor because every time we go, and then it's always negative. And so every time we go, that's the thing. And so I was like, we're going to do a home test before we go so I can say, no, we've done a home test. So I had to track down a home test on my birthday, which was awesome. And then I did the little swab, not the eyeball swab, and she was negative. So then we went to the doctor and I said, I think honestly, she's probably a zombie. Like it looks like zombie eyes from I Am Legend, kind of like that look that she had going on. He's like, you're not wrong. I think you're right. Actually, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, so we got drops if we needed them. It was just a cold. That's what it was. So if your eyes swell up and they have a little bit of gunk, but not conjunctivitis gunk, it'll go away. Just write it out.
All right.
Okay.
So that's what I did. And then I went and got a booster shot
Oh,
on my birthday. So that was awesome.
wow. You had a great
know.
day.
It was pretty great. And I think they hit a nerve. 'Cause then I
Oh.
couldn't like move my arm. No. but it was good.
But
It was
you
good
feel
times.
fine? You haven't felt sick afterwards? I've heard some of my friends have just gone down for the count with the booster.
Yeah, no, I got really sick afterwards. But I always think if the booster makes me feel like that, what would COVID make me feel like? So
You die.
I would die. So yeah, it was
You would
fine.
just
I'm
feel
better
sick.
now.
Couldn't even move. Okay, well,
Yeah.
happy birthday. That
Thank
sounds
you.
like honestly one of the best. Honestly,
One,
one of the best birthdays you may have ever had.
I know 47 is looking good. Honestly, like I feel like if that's an indicator of where we're going. I was just talking to my brother and he's like, "Oh, when I was 47, I got divorced." Long silence. And I was like,
So exciting.
well, I hope that isn't my life.
I
That
hope
sounds really bad. I hope
I don't know.
I hope that's not gonna be my life. I'm sorry about that. That was a bad year.
I texted out all of my family. So there's going to be 26 of us staying in my house. You guys know this.
Perfect.
And so I texted out and I said, please make sure you get sick today
Yes.
so that by next week you're all better.
Yes.
Also, I am recommending 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 75 milligrams of zinc daily.
Yes.
And so I'm giving it to all of my kids every day. We're doing our best here. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
I
feels
haven't
inevitable.
done that. I have lots of family coming and I
Okay.
forgot to tell them to get sick now.
You
You
need to
I
tell
need to
them.
send that
You
text
need to get on
today.
that, Andrea.
But
Get on that.
luckily, my sister-in-law texted back, check. Tanner was up vomiting all last night.
Oh,
I said, "Good
perfect.
job. You're doing your
Perfect.
job." I appreciate it so much. Carson had a sore throat yesterday. I was like, good job,
Nice.
Carson.
Good.
Here we are. We're doing what we can.
Get through it. Get
Get
through it.
sick this week so that next week we all just have lingering coughs and colds. but
Yes.
not
Sure.
The first 3 days.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Not the really contagious part.
I've been licking everything.
Good.
Just anything I can get my tongue on.
Every banister, Walmart
Yep.
door handles.
Oh, everything in Walmart. You should have seen me yesterday. I was going nuts. The manager came up and was like, ma'am, please stop licking that. I'm like, you don't understand.
You're like 26 people, 2 bathrooms. Are you kidding me? I've got to lick you. Honestly, just
Come here, sir.
close your eyes. It's going to be fine.
You're gonna need your hand. That looks filthy.
Have you guys ever had a liquor?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Emma was my liquor. And it was generally handrails that I would find her
Oh.
mouth on.
Oh.
I remember once we were on our way to Disneyland driving, we stopped at this, the gross towns
Yes.
where you're like, honestly, we will get sick if we stop here for anything, but we had to stop. I looked down and she was licking, like her entire mouth was on the handrail. And I lost it. I was like, what are you thinking? And sure enough, guess what? The next day, puke-a-rooney
Oh, yeah.
all over the place. And then she finally got through it. We go to Disneyland. Second day we're there, standing in a line. I look down, handrail. She did it again.
I mean, there's just a few people that go through Disneyland.
I
so-
know it's like a
Yeah.
couple.
It's-
So then, of course, like the next day, puke-a-rooney again.
Oh,
Yeah,
so sad.
it was like, well, sad is one word. I was, I think it was sadistic, honestly, on her part.
All right. Andrea has a look about her like we need to focus.
Yeah. Okay. Let's focus.
Focus, ladies.
Okay, so let's just talk about service. Let's talk about, it's hard. So Andrea and I were having a conversation several weeks ago, and we were talking about how it's really hard to make time for service. And it seems like when we do that, there's generally 60 and older know how to do service. Younger than that, we're all struggling. Generally speaking, I'd say.
Wait, do you feel like it is the age group of 60 and over that just understands how to serve, or 60 and over just have more time to serve?
I think they understand it better. It's like the World War II generation almost. Really, no, that's not true. They're like dead now, but
Yeah, World War II is a little older.
a little old. But I think that there was, I think that
Believe
they,
me, Camille, I have tried to find many survivors, and it's hard.
they're
okay?
all
I know.
100. They're all
I know.
100. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
And those who do have memories, they were so young, they don't really remember. So let's go.
They don't count.
Let's go with the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
Those
It's
people.
true. I think that
Or
they
more
knew
in the 50s.
better how to do. I think they were more selfless than the generations now that we're a part of. Don't you think?
I would agree. Yeah.
So
I
I
agree.
think that, how is it that they knew more, and what can we do to help our kids? Because I don't know about you, but I feel like my kids aren't coming to me saying, Mother, Please let us go and serve all the days long. Let us please shovel and cook and clean. My kids are like, what?
Oh
Right.
yeah. Oh yeah. As
Wow.
soon as like they say they're bored and you're like, well, why don't we go help the neighbor rake their leaves? Oh, well, I've got something I can do.
You
I've
know,
got
actually,
homework.
I've got homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't battle the homework
Oh
thing,
yeah.
right?
No.
It's like their golden ticket to get
Yes.
out of
It is a
everything.
golden ticket. They have no excuse that works better than homework. Because then
It's
I'm
true.
like, oh, well, I want you to be studious. So fine. Don't come to church today. Don't serve anybody. You better do. And they're like, yeah, cool math, you big dumb.
Right. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
but this is what I think. I think there are twofold problems here.
Okay, let's
One,
talk.
I don't think we are taught as well, or maybe it's not like as much of our regular life. And two, I feel like that older generation was just more connected with people, so that talking to people was normal. You made phone calls your whole life. You had to interact with people. I feel like one of the main issues with our kids right now, and some young moms and probably even us, is that we are so much more comfortable being behind a screen, or like texting someone versus calling them, or even maybe calling them versus just showing up at their house. Like, I feel like there's this anxiety now that comes with human interaction that makes it really hard to serve, because the whole thing with service is you have to approach someone, you have to then show up into their house. Like, I think feel like we do better if it's like an assignment, like you're assigned to go clean a church. That's way easier than seeing someone raking leaves and having to stop and approach them. I feel like this social part is really, really where, especially our younger people, are struggling. Like, my kids will do things with me. Like, they love 12 Days of Christmas. They'll knock and run all night. But then to go and approach a person and ask, how can I help? Or can I help with this thing? Or let me help with this thing. It's like, whoa. That's what they look like.
I feel like that's kind of what I look like too.
Yeah.
Because a little bit like you're standing at the door doing this thing and people act weird about it. Well, I think that's really insightful.
Yeah, I would agree.
You should be a podcast host because that was very nice.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. All right. Follow your dreams, Bethy. Yeah, I think that's exactly true, because I mean, we grew up in the age of the telephone.
What?
Telephone, exactly. And we did have to interact more. It was just a normal thing. But now, like, if I don't have a chat that I can fix problems with online, I get very frustrated if I have to like make a phone call, because I feel like, oh, then I have to talk to them. And I mean, you guys remember the Uma experience when I tried to cancel Uma,
Oh, yeah.
and the girl from, where was she from? India? I don't remember. Yeah, it was India. She like talked to me and I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't follow through with canceling. I'm still paying $2 a month.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I've told my husband I've got to take care of this, but it is true, because it's hard when you talk to humans.
Yes.
You can't control what happens. And so that's an intimidating thing. So how are we going to help our kids through that? That's the issue.
That's the big issue. Let's ask Beth, our podcasting host.
I know. Let's do that.
Well, you guys know at 6 a.m. it's my prime time of day. This old noggin is clear. I do think with the communicate, like, I do think it has to start with the parents. It's
Mhm.
unfortunate. Lots of
Mhm.
things we don't actually want to put on ourselves. We'd like it to be someone else's problem, or maybe like school can teach them, maybe church can teach them, maybe they'll just get good friends. But I think that if they don't see us ever interacting with someone, why would they? And if
Right.
they don't see us ever serving, why would they? Like, it's just not something your family does. So why would they do it? Right.
Well, it's like a muscle, and if you're not working that muscle, it atrophies. Like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. It shrinks
Yeah.
instead of growing and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And so I guess that really is what it boils down to, is as parents, we've got to help them. They're all completely atrophied. We've got like 40 years of
They're
atrophy,
just
right?
wobbly. There's a lot of flapping.
They're like spaghetti grandma, that's what we're talking about here. So what are some ways that as parents, we can then stretch that muscle in ourselves and bring our kids along for the ride? Because I think that is really what it comes down to, is if they see us doing it and they interact with us while we're doing it and they're helping, then it becomes easier and easier instead of so completely intimidating.
As you're thinking, I was thinking, I think that we help people, but maybe we don't talk about it. I want to brag a bit. No, just kidding.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's go.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
You
Let's do
help
it right
kids, Amy.
there.
No, I'm saying that I think that a lot of times we do, okay, we go,
Yeah.
we help a friend, or we see somebody on the road and we pick them up and give them a ride, like, you know,
Mhm.
a neighbor that needs a ride that's walking home from dropping off their car, you know, situations like that where we do help. But our kids, they're so busy now
Yeah.
that they may not
Mm.
see that. Like I do think it used to be that families were home more. And so you probably did see your mom baking a pie for the neighbor, or, you know, your dad going and helping and fix the fence or something.
Right.
But kids are not home much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe it
true.
needs to be a conversation
Yeah.
and not a bragging conversation. But, you know, when you sit down at dinner time and say, what did you do today? Or
Right.
what were some things that made you happy today? You could mention, well, I saw our neighbor, Mr. Smith, walking, and I offered to give him a ride home, and it made him feel so good. And it made me feel good that I had the ability to help. So maybe part of it is we need to have more conversations about what's
Mhm.
happening.
I
I
love
like
that. And I do think one of the things that stops us is we have it in our brain that if you serve and then brag,
Yeah,
it's like,
it sounds like bragging.
exactly. But we've got to rethink that and understand that instead, maybe it's teaching, not
Yeah.
bragging.
Well,
like
and if
that.
you made that part of like being very clear of like not saying what made you feel good today, because then my kids will say, oh, I got candy or, you know, whatever.
Right.
But saying like, okay, for the whole month of November
Yeah.
or until Christmas, every day we need to find a way to serve someone and we're going to report it at dinner. And
I like
so
that.
we
Like
could
that.
say, you know, like serving can be smiling. Serving can
Mhm.
be, you know, Paige just came home the other day and said that this girl was sitting all by herself who usually has a group of friends, but none of her friends were there. And so she's like, so I just went and sat by her. And then all my friends saw
Aw.
me and she went. So all of her friends sat there instead. And I was like, I should have said, like, that is service. Like that is what we're talking about. Cause I think sometimes we think it has to be a planned activity or raking leaves or like something
Right.
else. But like
Cookies.
service is saying hi to someone. Service is asking someone if they're okay when they're crying. Service is sometimes making treats. So, you know, it's like I think we need to first like educate our kids on like what the scope of service is, and then maybe make it like an intentional, that's the word, an intentional conversation with them to say, what thing did you do to serve today? And how did it make you feel? And maybe the follow up of it doesn't necessarily always feel good.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
that's
that's
very
the
true.
other problem.
Mhm.
It can be
Mhm.
very uncomfortable, and that's okay.
Yes. And they
Mhm.
may not even say thank you. And they might even seem annoyed. They might
Yeah.
even get mad at you. But
Mhm.
it doesn't matter because the act is what matters. You're pumping that muscle.
Right. Right. Yeah. I remember, when we interviewed Chris Kurtz from Do Good, Be Kind, and he talked a lot about smiling. And so like for the month, that's what we did. We'd get the kids up when we read scriptures early in the morning. And so we would get the kids up and would read, and then we would talk about find someone today that you can smile to that would help them, someone who needs a smile. And then would talk about it the next day. And yeah, some days they'd be like, well, I smiled at this person and they just glared at me, but then a lot of days they'd be like, I smiled and then they smiled back and it was really great. It made me feel really good inside. And so I love the idea of the smile because I think that is like a great first step of saying, I'm going to go outside of myself to think of someone else and smile. Because it is, especially as a kid, you're vulnerable when you
Yeah.
do
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Because some kids just
You
stare.
could get beat up.
Oh yeah, you could get murdered for
Don't
smiling.
you
Smiling
smile at me.
Well, and I think the other thing is also pointing out to other kids. I remember just like 3 or 4 months ago, my little girl wasn't feeling good. And so it wasn't contagious. I think she had like a little UTI or something like that. And so she was at church and she wasn't feeling great. And there was a friend of hers that was visiting our ward. And I looked into the children's meeting to just check on her. And I saw that little friend move seats over and go put her arm around my daughter
Oh.
and was like rubbing her back and talking to her and was being so sweet. And so I texted that little girl's mom and I was like, you need to know that like she just came out of herself to be so kind to my daughter. And she didn't need to do that. Kids are
Yeah.
uncomfortable if another kid is like sad or crying. Generally
Yeah.
speaking, nobody knows where to look.
Yeah.
But that little girl, like she's been taught, or it's just one of her gifts. I don't know. but
Yeah.
she really just came outside of herself and just put her arm around my little girl. And I just wanted to go hug her up. I was like, you
Yeah.
are the sweetest thing on the planet. I love you the most, honestly.
And I think that is another good point. I think there is a personality thing that goes with it, right? Some kids and people, it is not nearly as uncomfortable. It is very natural to
Mhm,
just see something and do something.
mhm.
And I think like that's really great and that's so lucky and fortunate for that person. But I think maybe sometimes we think if you're not naturally good at it or it doesn't you really don't like how it feels, maybe you're just not someone who serves. But I think that every person can serve, but we need to maybe with our kids and with ourselves is just kind of meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And so if you're the kind of kid that's like, I have some very introverted kids that are not outgoing in any way. And so to ask them to walk up to a group of adults and say, how can I help? Is like, that has actually been
Right.
a good experience for them. Although they are very good at doing background, quiet things,
Right.
and so saying like that is service too. So let's like meet you where you're at. If you're the type of person who wants to just clean toilets without telling anyone, we need to acknowledge that that is also service. And if you're the type of person that's really comfortable just wrapping up some crying child, then
Mhm.
that's great too, and that is also service.
Yeah, I love that. My oldest daughter, I would say that growing up, she was very much the introverted. But she had such a good little heart. And so, like, one of the things that she did that she told me about almost when it was over was that she had looked around her school and seen, like, who do I think looks like they're struggling, that I know enough that I can maybe write a note to them. And so she wrote kind notes to like 8 or 9 different people and then took them all to the office
Oh,
and said, will you
That's
just
cute.
give these to the people? Because I want it to be anonymous. And so she wrote notes to all these kids that she felt like those kids are struggling for this reason or that reason. And I want to be kind to them. And so I love your thought of meeting them where they're at and helping them to see that's not less service. It's just
Yes.
different. And
Yes.
it's not worse, it's not better. It's just a different form and a different kind. And that's really, we have to do that in all aspects of life, but it seems like when it comes to things like service, we only acknowledge the really visible things.
Yeah. And I love, like, I really try hard to be really intentional, especially at Christmas, about doing at least one big act of service with my kids. And the goal is to keep it anonymous. Like, that is the whole point of the service. We always do 12 days of Christmas. And it's like our mission is to never be discovered. And, like, to me, it just feels important, like, that my kids know that, yes, if we go on the 12th day of Christmas, they will, oh, thank you so much. They will hug us. They will love. No one doesn't love that. Why would you not love that?
Right.
And so it's like, I know that they can get that reaction, but I really want them to know that also doing a big thing like that is great and to keep it a secret until you die,
Yeah.
or like we try to always buy Christmas for a family. Of course, if we showed up with hundreds of dollars of gifts, you're going to get a big reaction. But I want them to know like doing service is wonderful just because you did the service. That is what makes it wonderful. And sometimes we do get all the praise and everything. And of course, last Sunday at church, one of the youth gave a talk and they stood up and said, they were talking about service and said, last year, someone brought us gifts for 12 days in a row. And all of my kids were like, like, I mean, they were so pumped. It was so fun. And I was like, we're just like, be quiet about it. And they just like, they were so like it was so fun, of course, for this person to acknowledge the secret family who had come, and it was so exciting. And so yeah, it's great, like they get a little woohoo, that was us. But also it's just I love like Emma doing that of just this anonymous thing. And like I want my kids, and I think it's important for kids to be taught that those anonymous things matter, that the
Mhm.
service, you don't do the service to get the praise, you do the service because it's kind. You do
Right.
the service because it will help someone. You do the service because they need to feel loved, and we are able to help them feel that way.
Yeah. I love it. I think that is exactly true. Really good closing statement there, Beth. Maybe you should also be
Oh,
a lawyer. That was really nice.
I'm applied to law school.
Okay. I was
They're
hoping so.
disappointed by my grades. And so I'm having a
so
hard
weird.
time.
You should write them some anonymous kind notes to soften
Yeah.
them up.
Or some anonymous letters of some kind.
That's it.
Listen, I have another thought with service though.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
is what if we do for this month and forever, whenever you hear this, I guess,
Yes.
is if you're not very naturally good at serving or it's not part of your family culture, I think a good way to start is to not think of anything yourself. Just be willing to do something that someone asked you to do.
Oh.
So because I feel like we're given opportunities to serve.
Mm-hmm.
We like someone, hey, can you take dinner to so and so, or can you this youth group is doing this activity.
Right.
And so I think part of it is thinking of the idea and then
Mm-hmm.
stressing about it and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to like figure it all out. Lots of times people have already figured it out for you. All you have to do is show up. So maybe that's a good place to start, is just showing up. And
Yeah.
then as you build up that muscle and it feels a little more comfortable, then you can start thinking of your own ideas of ways that you can serve and kind of like, well, how does this all work out? Like, how do I figure it out? That can be really overwhelming. So just start by someone asking you to do something and you doing it. That is still service. That still counts. You don't have to be so
Oh,
creative and think of
absolutely.
it yourself. And I think sometimes we get debilitated by like, well, we have to think of it or it doesn't count, or it has to be so big or it doesn't count. But just someone calling and saying, hey, I'm running late. Can you pick up my kid from preschool? That is a huge service. And just
Yeah.
by saying, like, actually, yeah, I can do that. I think you need to just do it and then count it and feel really good about what you've done, instead of feeling like, well, I didn't even do anything. She just called and asked and I did it. Yes, that's
Yes,
exactly
you
what
did
they
it.
needed. You served
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I'm going to go ahead and put up for this episode, we'll post a printable that has just a lot of different service ideas, because that is the sticking point for me, is I can't think of what to do. And so I'll do that. We'll make sure that that's put up for all of our Patreon people. And, I think another great resource, if you're looking for a good resource, is is it org?
Yeah.
.com. I think it's
Just
org, isn't it?
serve.org.
Yeah. And like in most places, not for where we live, because it's so small, it's starting to grow here. But for most places, you can go in and put where you live, and there will just be tons of service opportunities that come up. And even for people like in our town, there's all sorts of things online that you can do. And so if that is your sticking point, that you're just needing something that you can say yes to, then that's a good resource as well. So we'll put that on there.
And it is almost Christmas, you guys. It's time to get real serious about doing the 12 days of Christmas to someone,
is.
because it is so fun.
Well, and
Or,
the great
hey,
thing,
Christmas is easy.
yeah, I was going to say, that's the great thing, is that Christmas is easy. So if we're looking for a great way to start this and start flexing that muscle, this is the perfect season, because everybody understands you're supposed to serve during Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Nobody questions that.
It's like May, where things get really fuzzy. Like I'm like, wait, what are we supposed to do in May? In December, I'm gonna go hard on service. May,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
guess I'll
swimming for stroke victims, something
Yeah.
like
I don't really got anything going on here. So I think there, and it also, I think at Christmas sometimes it's really easy to serve, but I also think sometimes it becomes a financial burden where we think,
Yeah.
well, we have to buy Christmas or we have to buy presents for people, or it's like all very financial. But there's still a ton of stuff you can do around Christmas time that will cost you nothing. And I feel like my kids are they're in it in December. They're also
Yeah.
the rest of the year, not so much. But December, they're feeling this Christmassy spirit. They're wanting to do stuff for people. They're even willing to go sing to the old people, which would never happen the rest of the year.
Right.
You think little Carson's going to sing to someone unless it's December? Heck no. But
The sun will come out tomorrow. That's awesome. Well, I
Love
think
it.
go find something that you can do as parents, and find something that your kids can do, and it can be as easy as a smile or just saying yes. Maybe pointing those out and finding ways to help kids see that they really can make a difference, even in small ways. That's awesome.
Thanks for being
love
with
it.
us, Mom
Thanks,
Squad.
Mom
We'll
Squad.
see you next week.
Bye.